Part 25. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 245. Immortal Magic Inorganic Boundary Wall. Hyuga Naraka clasped his hands together, gathering the natural energy from far away, forming an invisible natural energy barrier within a radius of 10 miles. The fluctuations of the battle between him and Uchiha Madara were completely blocked by this barrier and could not spread outside. Go. It's better to take it easy, otherwise the ninja world continent will almost be sunk. Hyuga Naraka shook his head and said. A battle of this magnitude would be too damaging to ordinary people in the ninja world, and even to the natural environment of the ninja world. If it is not controlled, it will really destroy the ninja world. You guy. Uchiha Madara looked gloomy. When fighting him, he actually still had the thoughts to care about this. It even specially mobilized a large amount of 14 natural energy to form such a huge protective boundary wall, just to prevent it from spreading to the outside. Isn't it too underestimated? Even Hashirama was just worried about affecting Konoha, so he drove the wooden man to change the battlefield. Hinata Naraku is now doing more than Hashirama. In this way, it is clear that he is not worried about not having enough chakra at all. He was completely ignored. No one can look down on me like that. Uchiha Madara roared, and the dark blue Susanna held a long sword and slashed towards the golden Buddha statue opposite. The mantis arm is like a chariot. Hyuga Naraka commented with a calm voice. The ten-tails opposite had too much chakra, and the size was not even the same as his own Rendaibutsu. Comparing the size of the two sides, they were smaller than those of children and adults. Everyone has to exaggerate. Kerala. The golden Buddha statue picked up the sword and slashed it down suddenly. Tisk. Uchiha Madara's Susanoo sword was easily cut off. It seems that this is not the invincible Susanoo, but it's like mud. This. Uchiha Madara was startled, but then he saw the opponent's golden longsword slashed with his backhand again, directly breaking his Susanoo armor and slashing the ten-tails. Roar. The ten-tails burst out with a deafening roar of pain. A terrifying wound appeared on the ten-tails' body, and one of the ten-tails' tails was almost cut off directly. Uchiha Madara was completely at a loss. This is the ten-tails. The legendary ten-tails of the world-destroying beasts couldn't even hold up that golden sword? Isn't it too outrageous? What is the move of that golden long sword? Madara-sama, don't give up. Black Zetsu on the side saw Uchiha Madara in a daze and hurriedly reminded. Although the opponent's attack is powerful, we have the ten-tails after all, and chakra still has the advantage. Moreover, the ten-tails cannot be killed by the opponent. As long as you use the chakra of the ten-tails to consume it, the final victory will definitely be yours. After hearing this, Uchiha Madara's face became extremely ugly. What does this bastard Black Zetsu mean? Does it mean that he can't be beaten directly, so he can only rely on chakra to beat him to death? Has he ever beaten him since the Warring States period? I have experienced such a frustrating battle, even fighting with Hashirama has never been so frustrating. Impossible, I am Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara roared angrily and directly rejected Black Zetsu's proposal. The horrific wound on the ten-tails' body was recovering rapidly. After a large amount of chakra was consumed, the wound recovered quickly. Uchiha Madara continued to draw chakra, two wings grew out of Susanoo's back. The dual wieldings vibrated, and the Susanoo ten-tails soared into the sky. From each tail of the ten-tails, the red and blue Megatama of Yasaka shot out one after another, towards the 063 golden on the opposite side. Hit the Buddha statue. At the same time, Susanoo produced 6 arms, each holding a long sword, and slashed towards the golden Buddha statue. Too weak. Hyuga Naraka didn't pay attention to the opponent's attack at all. Such an intense attack could not penetrate his golden Susanoo's defense. Kalala, the huge Buddha statue, and countless arms around it began to move. Uchiha Madara's heart was beating wildly as he recalled some bad memories. Immediately afterwards, he saw that unforgettable scene. Endless arms came towards him one after another, hitting Susanoo Ten-Tails. In an instant, Susanoo Ten-Tails, who was flying in the sky, was pinned to the ground by the arms of massive Buddha statues and beaten crazily. Boom 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 boom. Terrifying explosions sounded continuously on Susanoo Ten-Tails' body. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 246. Uchiha Madara burst out with an angry and unwilling roar. It's like this again, it's like this again. Damn it, there are thousands of hands. Decades ago, the battle in the Valley of the End was like this. With Susan lassoing the Nine Tails, Hashirama used the true thousand hands to ruthlessly blow him up. Now, the scene that impressed him so deeply was repeated. And it was even more exaggerated. The power of Hinata Nariku Susanoo's true thousand hands far exceeded that of the End of the Valley. This time, my strength far exceeded that of the Valley of the End. With Hashirama cells, the eternal kaleidoscope turned into the Rinnegan, and the Nine Tails turned into the Ten Tails. But I was beaten even worse. In the battle at the Valley of the End, he could at least fight with Hashirama's Shinsenju for a while. But now, he was forced into the ground by Hinata Nariku Susanoo Senju, and was beaten while being held down, without the ability to fight back. Susanoo's armor began to break. The Ten Tails was wailing in pain. Uchiha Madara could only continue to draw the Ten Tails chakra, strengthen Susanoo's defense, and try to maintain it. After a long time, he was beaten crazily. It seemed to have stopped. The smoke cleared. Uchiha Madara saw Hyuga Nariku's thousand-armed Buddha statue again. At this moment, half of the arms around the Buddha's body were missing. In other words, the beating he just gave him only used less than half. Arm. Uchiha Madara suddenly felt that what Black Zetsu said made sense. It's simply unrealistic to fight head-on. How about relying on the Ten Tails chakra advantage? Drawing on the chakra of the Ten Tails, he began to restore Susanoo, and at the same time, he controlled the Ten Tails to struggle up from the ground. Tisk, it seems you still refuse to admit defeat. Why, haven't you been beaten enough? Hinata Nariku said with a joking smile on his face. Uchiha Madara looked extremely ugly and said nothing. The current situation is like this, you are no match for a head-on fight. There is no need to show off his rhetoric, that is not his character. Keep fighting. Anyway, with the endless chakra source of the Ten Tails, he is already invincible. Ha, it seems that you won't give up if I don't let you see the real strength gap. Hyuga Nariku chuckled, flew directly from the head of the huge Buddha statue, and flew in front of the Susanoo Ten Tails. Light blue chakra-like flames wrapped around his body, and the whole person was awe-inspiring. It's just a Ten Tails. Don't you think that having the Ten Tails means you are invincible? Hyuga Nariku took a deep breath and mobilized chakra. Uchiha Madara frowned, not knowing what moves the other party was going to use. He gave up Susanoo's thousands of hands. With that golden sword, what other moves did the opponent master? Black Zetsu on the side was also staring at Hinata Nariku's posture, and suddenly had a bad feeling. This guy, could it be his mother's move? Right? Isn't it possible? That is an ability that only the mother herself can master, not even the two villains Hagi Oromo and Hamura can master it. How could Hyuga Nariku use it? 80, Hinata Nariku shouted, and suddenly started punching with both hands, Shenkong strike. The sky was bright. Countless fists, with white light, like the power of heaven, hit Susanoo Juubi's body. The power of each punch was comparable to a mountain being smashed down. Even with the defense power of a complete Susanoo, he couldn't bear it at all. Click, click, click. The dark blue Susanna quickly shattered. However, the terrifying boxing was not over yet. One punch after another hit the Tentail's body, and hit Uchiha Madara's body. Ah! Eyes! Uchiha Madara's pained voice was drowned out by the Tentail's equally painful roar. He was completely irresistible. Any punch could knock him out. Not to mention such a dense attack. The land of the Rain Country was shaken by this madness. The attack caused it to collapse. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 247. The crazy beating was over. The Tentails had completely collapsed on the ground and could not get up again. Madara Uchiha was completely dug into the ground, and his whole body was in tatters. The red armor that was originally intact was now badly beaten. His whole body was almost beaten to pieces. If it weren't for Hashirama's cells, he would have died 10,000 times at this moment. Cough, cough. He kept coughing up blood in his mouth. Having been beaten before and separated from the Tentails, there is no way to mobilize the Tentail's chakra. From now on, he can only rely on his own chakra to maintain defense and repair his damaged body. However, even with the massive amount of chakra in Hashirama's cells, it was still almost exhausted at this moment. The body can only repair slowly. Uchiha Madara was lying on his back, with thoughts in his mind. I don't know what I should be feeling at this moment. He thought he was resurrected, with a young body, abundant chakra, the Samsara Eye in hand, and the Tentails at his disposal. Thinking that everything will go well. I didn't expect to lose so miserably. The fight with Hashirama had never been so miserable. Although he was no match for Hashirama before, Hashirama never crushed him to this extent. Now, Uchiha Madara has also recognized the fact, if Hyuga Naruko is willing, he can kill him 100 times and one time. Whether it's the Susanoo Buddha, the Golden Sword, or the endless iron fists that came later. It's not something he can bear. Tisk tisk, what, Madara Uchiha, looks like he is lying down and waiting to die. Hyuga Naruko flew down from the sky and looked at Madara Uchiha, who was unwilling to get up, and said, I lost, there is nothing more to say. Madara Uchiha said in a calm voice. It was as if he had put down all his worries. From the battle in the Valley of the End to now, decades later, he never expected such a result. The infinite Tsukuyomi plan that he has been pursuing seems to be like this at this moment. It can only be a failure. Hyuga Naruko is the winner. The future of the ninja world will also be determined by him. Oh, don't you want to hear why I said before that you know very little about the ninja world? Hyuga Naruko glanced around and caught a corner. Uchiha Madara twitched his ears and didn't say anything, but he obviously wanted to continue listening first. Seeing this, Hinata Naruko said. You want to collect tailed beasts, resurrect the Tentails, and cast the infinite Tsukuyomi. It should be based on the stone tablet at Nanga Shrine, right? From this aspect, I can't blame you entirely. After all, the inscription on that stone tablet can only be read based on the strength of the pupil. Someone who can do this must be extremely powerful. In fact, that stone tablet was indeed left by the Immortal of Six Paths, but not all of it. A part was added after the inscription, which is the part of infinite Tsukuyomi. Uchiha Madara's expression changed instantly. The inscription on the inscription was changed. Who has such great ability? Infinite Tsukuyomi, an illusion that can bring out the entire ninja world, does exist, and it does require the Rinnegan and the Tentails to be cast. However, the person who added that content concealed one of the effects of the infinite Tsukuyomi, that is, this technique will slowly absorb the chakra of the sleeping person and gather it together, eventually resurrecting Kaguya. Hyuga Naruko said slowly. Kaguya. Uchiha Madara searched the name in his mind and said, "Is it the legendary Uno goddess, Kagaya?" After interpreting the inscriptions on the underground stone monument, Uchiha Madara also searched for many ancient myths and legends, including those of the goddess Uno and the Sage of Six Paths. After all, in Uchiha Madara's view, the person who can leave such a stone monument there must be powerful chakra. In other words, in the past history, there were people who were as powerful as him with the Samsara Eye. Naturally, the first thing Uchiha Madara looked for was about the owner of the Samsara Eye, Six Paths, the legend of the immortal. There are some sayings that the mother of the immortal of Six Paths is the legendary goddess of Uma, Kagaya. In the myths and legends of the ninja world, Kagaya is the true ancestor of chakra. She once used godlike power brings peace. The Sage of Six Paths and Kagaya, did these people really exist? Uchiha Madara couldn't help but ask. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 248. Kagaya, the goddess of Ura, is a visitor from outside the world. She used her powerful power to bring peace to the ninja world. But then Kagaya launched the infinite Tsukuyomi, wanting people from the ninja world to sacrifice their lives to provide her with chakra. So, Kagaya's two sons planned to resist her. Among them, the elder brother was called Itsutsuki Hage Oromo, also known as the Six Paths Sage. His two sons were later called the ancestors of Uchiha and Senju respectively. The other younger brother is called Hamura Itsutsuki, and he is the ancestor of the Hyuga clan. The two brothers learned celestial beings at Mt. Mayaboku. After mastering the 6 celestial beings, they successfully defeated Kagaya and sealed Kagaya's body with the Earth Explosion Sky Star. But before Kagaya was sealed, she created a clone with a will. The person who added the following inscription on the Uchiha stone tablet was this clone, that is, Black Zetsu. Hyuga Naruko said at the end, suddenly paused, with a joking smile on his face. Uchiha Madara was confused for a while. He was originally curious about the person who added the inscription, but he didn't expect to hear such a name. Black Zetsu? What the hell is this? Which Black Zetsu? Uchiha Madara said without giving up. It's the black one you thought you created, representing your will. Hyuga Naruko couldn't help laughing. Uchiha Madara's face turned red and white. Heiju was not created by him. Did Black Zetsu add the later inscription about infinite Tsukuyomi? He instinctively didn't want to believe this. But there is no need for Hinata Naruko to deceive him now. Uchiha Madara just wanted to ask again if there is any evidence. I saw Hinata Naruko frowning, and a black sphere instantly appeared in his hand, transformed into a black stick, and was thrown away in the distance. Chi! The black rod penetrated the ground and pinned a pool of black fluid. Black Zetsu! Uchiha jumped up and cursed. There is nothing to say now. In the battle just now, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu were always beside him. But under the terrifying power of the Asagami's air attack, he leaned against the pillar. Giunsel barely survived. How did Heiju survive? Didn't you see that Baiju has been beaten to the ground and there is no trace left? On the contrary, this guy Heiju can actually survive such a terrifying attack. Come down. Madara-sama, that guy Hinata Naruko is talking nonsense. How could I lie to you? You created me. Heiju, who was nailed to the ground by the black rod of the Seeking Jade, could not escape. He quickly explained madly to Uchiha Madara, who was chasing after him. Uchiha Madara almost laughed out of anger. Are you created by me? How did I not know that what I created could be so strong? He couldn't be killed by an attack as strong as just now. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Veins popped up on Madara Uchiha's forehead, and his mood became more and more irritable. Black Zetsu, Black Zetsu. It turns out you, the bastard, deceived me. The content of infinite Tsukuyomi was added by you, and you pretended to be my creation and lied to me about executing my will. When he thought of this, Uchiha Madara felt extremely embarrassed. He was deceived by Heizetsu and Madara-sama and completely became Heizetsu's tool. Not only that, Heiju had already started planning 1,000 years ago. Hinata Naruto said with a joking smile, "For Black Zetsu, the first thing needed is to create a pair of reincarnation eyes, and this requires the descendants of Indra and Asura." Uchiha Madara's face darkened. What do you mean by this? Did his Rinnegan awaken under the secret guidance of Black Zetsu? Speaking of which, when you were beaten by the first Hokage in the Valley of the End, Black Zetsu was also watching from the sidelines. Even when the first Hokage stabbed you in the back, Black Zetsu was watching. Hinata Naruto said with a pleasant tone. Nonsense. Madara-sama, don't believe him. Black Zetsu yelled hurriedly, feeling really horrified to death. Why did Hinata Naruto know these things? And he knew it in such detail, as if he was also peeking at it at the time. You can judge for yourself what the truth is. You can think back on whether there were any traces of being guided by others in your growth experience, such as your awakening of the kaleidoscope, or the death of your brother Uchiha Izuna, which contributed to your obtaining the eternal kaleidoscope, which is only one step away from the samsara eye. Hyuga Naruto said slowly. Black Zetsu has failed for nearly 1,000 years and has not developed a pair of reincarnation eyes. When it comes to Uchiha Madara, Black Zetsu should work harder to guide the successors of Indra and Asura. Die. Uchiha Madara forcibly mobilized chakra, and a Susanoo arm suddenly appeared and hit Black Zetsu on the ground. Black Zetsu! Black Zetsu! Black Zetsu! This bastard, this guy who he thought was his own creation, it was an old monster that had existed for 1,000 years, and he had secretly guided his life. At this moment, Uchiha Madara felt that everything he had done in his life was like a clown. Boom! A powerful and heavy punch, but it had no effect. Black Zetsu still looked like a puddle of black mud. He was pinned by the black rod of Chiudeo Jade and could not escape, but Susanna's fists could not do anything to Black Zetsu. Seeing that the explanation failed, Black Zetsu simply broke the pot and threw it. I am Kagaya's mother's creation. You ninjas are just a part of the history created by Mother. With your little strength, it is impossible to destroy my taxi. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 249. Uchiha Madara's eyes were red with anger, and Susanna's fists were frantically directed at Black Zetsu, but to no avail. It's like Heizetsu is invincible. It's useless. Hyuga Naruto walked over leisurely and said. Black Zetsu is a life created by Kagaya, and his level of life is still above that of tailed beasts. The tailed beasts created by the Sage of Six Paths will be resurrected after being killed. Black Zetsu is naturally stronger and cannot be destroyed by conventional means. In the original work, Naruto only threw Black Zetsu into the Earth Blast Star in 957 and sealed it with Kagaya. He was not able to completely eliminate Black Zetsu. This bastard, can't he just seal it? Uchiha Madara was itching with hatred. He really didn't have a clear idea if he didn't want to kill Black Zetsu. When he thought that he had been deceived for decades and worked hard for a hopeless Eye of the Moon project, Uchiha Madara became even more angry. It's all because of that damn bastard Heiju. Heiju's life level is just higher. As long as he can reach a higher level, he will naturally be able to completely eliminate him. Hyuga Naruto said calmly. Ha, ridiculous, Heizetsu mocked coldly. I admit that you are indeed very strong, comparable to those two traitors, Hag Oromo and Hamura. But want to erase me? Only a mother can do that. So what if he is sealed? After a few hundred years, Hinata Naruto dies, and he will finally have a chance to break free of the seal. By then, the Eye of the Moon plan can continue to be implemented. What surprised Black Zetsu is that Hinata Naraka didn't seem to be affected by his words at all. Instead, he smiled. How do you know that I cannot reach a higher level? Do you think I just learned about these things about the Akatsuki organization and the Eye of the Moon project, as well as your origins, Black Zetsu? Aren't you curious, what was I doing before? Why didn't I deal with you immediately? With that said, Hyuga Naraka dropped Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu directly, and flew up to high altitude. Swish. Behind him, several gray-green gourds floated out. The first and second tails were sealed inside. 3 tails, 8 tails, and 9 tails, a total of 5-tailed beasts chakras. There are also the sealed monster Satoru, as well as the 6-path ninja tools such as the Box of Bliss and the Amber Purifying Bottle. The long-awaited advancement of the blood successor snare is finally here. We can wait. Buzz. Hinata Naraka's eyes changed, from the reincarnation eye to the pattern of the reincarnation eye. He has enhanced both yin and yang escape to the extreme, and he has naturally mastered the reincarnation eye. However, when it comes to fighting, he still has the reincarnation eye. More useful. 10 tails, get up. Hyuga Naraka shouted to the bottom. Under the control of the Rinnegan, the 10 tails, which had been crippled before, was forced to get up. The blood inheritance snare ceremony begins. With a loud shout, Hinata Naraka began to absorb chakra with reference to the ritual improved from Beirehu's Oni Miloto ritual. Boom! The terrifying chakra was drawn from the gourd behind him and from the 10 tails below. Extracted. A massive amount of chakra was sucked into the body. The terrifying power of chakra even caused a storm. This. Uchiha Madara below was dumbfounded when he saw it. This guy Hyuga Naraka also has the Samsara Eye. What is he doing? Heiju felt a bad premonition in his heart as he was nailed by the black rod of the Jade Seeker. This guy is actually spying on his mother's realm 2.8. Impossible. Even Hag Oromo and Hamura couldn't really do it. How could Hyuga Naraka, a mere descendant of Hamura, do such a thing? However, Black Jew looked at Hinata Naraka in the sky, but his heart sank a little bit. The terrifying chakra fluctuations are endless. Hinata Naraka's hair turned white little by little in the sky. This way, I am really evolving towards a higher level of life. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 250. The yin and yang and the 5 elements, 7 chakras with different attributes, after being added to the extreme, began to fuse under the impact of the huge chakra. Blood succession snare is essentially the constitution and bloodline formed by the complete fusion of 7 chakras. But it is different from the low-level blood succession limits and blood stain elimination. After the 7 types of chakra are completely integrated, what is achieved is a qualitative change. Chakra circulates in the body on its own, endlessly. The whole body becomes the energy state of chakra. Therefore, blood successor snare can be said to have completely transcended the confinement of blood 14, and is a qualitative change in the level of life. Once you step into this realm, you are freed from the cycle of life and death in physical life and can be called immortal. Boom! The power of terror is brewing. Massive amounts of chakra were continuously inhaled into the body, but Hinata Naraka's momentum did gradually decrease. From letting loose unexpectedly, to staying within. This is true transformation. The originally black long hair gradually transformed into Otsutsuki's exclusive white color. The clothes also start to change automatically. The whole body is covered with white fairy robes, blowing in the wind. This guy. Heiju on the ground was horrified. Hinata Naraka is really going to complete the transformation of his life. This appearance clearly shows that the Otsutsuki clan in my mother's memory is changing. Evolution of life level. Uchiha Madara quietly stared at the figure in the sky. Hinata Naruto now looks less imposing than before. But how could Uchiha Madara not see that the opponent's strength and realm had actually improved to a higher level? I really know too little about this ninja world. Uchiha Madara couldn't help but shook his head and sighed. Boom. The transformation has reached the final stage. The power that had been accumulated suddenly exploded at this moment. A beam of light that penetrated the sky and the earth burst out from Hinata Naruto's body and shot straight into the sky. Penetrated the sky and shot towards the boundless universe. All the natural energy between heaven and earth is boiling. The three major holy places in the ninja world have noticed this movement at this moment. Kaguya. The old toad of Miyamu Mountain suddenly woke up in a cold sweat, recalling some bad memories. This aura, is it Lord Naruto? The slug immortal in the Shigi Bone Forest sensed the chakra aura contained in this beam of light. After sensing the aura of Hinata Naruto, he felt relieved. It's amazing to have reached Kaguya's level. The slug sage said with some emotion. What the two brothers of the Six-Path Sage could not achieve back then was achieved by a descendant of Hamura, an ordinary Hyuga clan member. The beam of light reaching the sky and the earth, the entire ninja world can notice the movement here. Watching from a distance, not knowing what happened. In the infinite universe. Atsutsuki Momoshiki frowned slightly and looked into the depths of the universe. Kim, where is that over there? Atsutsuki Momoshiki asked his attendant. The stout Atsutsuki Kaneshi replied, 980 that's the direction of the C48 star field, where Master Ishitki and Kaguya go. Atsutsuki Momoshiki suddenly said one shiki. No wonder. Atsutsuki Ishiki's talent is extremely high, even above him. It's normal for him to reach such a state. However, it has been more than 1,000 years since Ishiki and Kaguya went to the C48 star field, and there seems to be no news at all, right? What are these two guys doing? Atsutsuki Mamashi curled her lips, thought about it, and said to his attendant. The Jin family is ready to leave the star field and go to Yishi's place to have a look. That guy was promoted so quickly because he probably found a fertile life planet. Yes, Mamashiki-sama, Atsutsuki Kim replied honestly. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 251. Ninja World, the Land of Rain. High in the sky. Buzz, a terrifying chakra fluctuation, vast and boundless. At this moment, everyone in the entire ninja world felt this power. It was as if there were some terrifying eyes that looked directly into their hearts. What happened? Onoki was surprised. Just now, he suddenly felt a palpitation in his heart. He looked at the Iwagakure ninjas around him and found that they were all the same. He looked up and looked around, but found nothing. Except for them. People, there is no one to hide. It is impossible that someone is hiding in secret and taking action against them. So, where did this feeling of heart palpitations come from? It felt so weird just now. Huang Tu's face was solemn. All the illusions I have seen before can't make me feel like this. The terrifying glance directly entered the bottom of his heart. This is simply not a level that illusion can reach. Onoki's face was expressionless, and he turned around to look in the direction of a Megakure village, which had already run far away. Does this glance in my heart have anything to do with the battle in Yuyan village? The Ninja World, a hidden institute. This research institute has never been shown to anyone in the ninja world. Because the owner of this research institute is named Cicien. Eye of the Moon? Cicien also felt the sense of voyeurism implanted in his heart, and his face changed drastically. He flew to the courtyard and looked at the moon in the sky. It was still daytime, and the moon could only see a vague outline. However, with Cicien, with my eyes, I can still easily observe the movements on the moon. The seal of the moon has not moved, isn't it, Kaguya? Ci. Xian murmured to himself. More than 1,000 years ago, at that time, his name was Atsutsuki Ishiki. He came to the ninja world with Kagaya to plant the sacred tree. To plant the sacred tree, you need to feed an Atsutsuki clan member to the 10 tails, and then the 10 tails can evolve into a sacred tree, and after a long time, it will bear chakra fruit. Originally, based on his and Kagaya's status at the time, he should have sacrificed his subordinate Kagaya to the 10 tails. The Atsutsuki clan has always done this. However, something went wrong this time. Kagaya actually attacked him in turn, causing his half of his body was swallowed by the 10 tails. In the end, he could only temporarily stay in the body of a passing monk named Ci, and he has been surviving to this day. After being attacked by Kagaya, his vitality was severely injured. Relying on Ci's according to his body, he could not fully exert his strength and could not be Kagaya's opponent. He had to carefully avoid Kagaya to prevent Kagaya from finding him and eradicate the roots. As for later, Kagaya ate the sacred tree. As a result, he has no hope of revenge. Even facing Kagaya's Eye of the Moon peering into the ninja world, he could only hide in a different space to prevent Kagaya from finding him. It wasn't until Kagaya was sealed by his descendants that he dared to come out of the different space. But after coming out, it doesn't mean that he can run rampant in the ninja world. He must find himself a qualified reincarnation container to be reincarnated and truly resurrected. As a result, it took 1,000 years to find it. The physical fitness of ordinary people in the ninja world is too poor. If anyone else was reincarnated, they might not be able to survive a few days at all. Before Cicien could find a new reincarnation container, something unexpected happened. The sudden aura of Eye of the Moon appeared in the ninja world. At that time, Cicien thought that Kagaya had broken free of the seal. It's not Kagaya, but this aura is indeed the Eye of the Moon. Cixian's face was solemn, and he was so angry that he wanted to curse. What the hell is going on with this planet? 1,000 years ago, Kagaya ate the fruit of the sacred tree and got the Eye of the Moon. 1,000 years later, why did it appear again? Eye of the Month. Is the natural energy of this planet so abundant? Asshole. Ci. Xian cursed angrily, his eyes shining brightly. No matter who the owner of the new Eye of the Moon is, it is still a threat to him. Judging from his current physical condition, it is better not to fight as much as possible. Especially when fighting a strong man with the Eye of the Moon. If a fight really breaks out, with the current condition of Cicien's body, he will probably die violently in the fight. For now, we can only continue to go to another space. Hiding. I wonder if this new Moon Eye owner will be sealed by someone again. If so, that would be great. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 252. That is. Black Zetsu looked steadily at the eyes that appeared on Hinata Nariku's forehead. This is a vertical pupil. Blood red color. The same texture as reincarnation. However, the difference is that this eye has 9 megatama. 9 megatama reincarnation Sharinan. These are the eyes that only my mother, Kagaya, has. It is a power that even the two traders, Hag Oromo and Hamura, have not been able to master. How could Hyuga Nariku possess the Eye of the Moon? This eye. Uchiha Madara looked solemn. Although it looks like the reincarnation eye has just changed color and has a few more megatama. But with his realm and eyesight, he can naturally see how terrifying this eye is. When that eye opened just now, the insight that swept through the ninja world was fake. A higher level, is this a state that is still in the samsara eye, or in other words, still above the 6 paths immortal? Uchiha Madara recalled what Hinata Nariku had said before and was thinking 137. The legendary 6-path sage was the first generation of the Ten Tails Jinhuriki, but the 6-path sage is still dead. But the 6-path sage's mother Kagaya is still alive. He must be still alive, otherwise what is Heizetsu trying to do in his mind? In this way, the goddess of Uma, Etsutsuki Kagaya, is not only stronger than the sage of six paths, but has also reached a higher level in the realm of life. Cut. Uchiha Madara couldn't help but curled his lips. When he thought of being completely surpassed by a junior, he felt unconvinced. Especially, this junior had reached a higher level by himself, but he was being plotted by Black Zetsu. He had just awakened his samsara eye. It was somewhat discouraging. Above the sky, Hina used the eye of the moon to scan around the ninja world. At this moment, no matter the size of the ninja world could escape his eyes. This is. Hinatan Naraku narrowed his eyes and looked in a certain direction. There was an extremely powerful chakra aura there before, but it suddenly disappeared. He must have activated some time and space ninjutsu and hid, thus avoiding the prying eyes of his eye of the moon. Etsutsuki Ishiki. Hinatan Naraku searched in his mind and found out that among the hidden characters in the current ninja world, he was the only one with such strength. He shook his head and let it go for the time being. The other party reacted quickly and hid immediately after sensing the eye of the moon's prying eyes. If he wanted to find Etsutsuki in one move, he could do it, but it would take a lot of time. As for now, there are some other things that need to be dealt with. Floated down from the sky and landed at Heiju. Heiju, I think you are familiar with this move, right? Hyuga Naraku's mouth was filled with a smile. He raised his hand, and a grey-white bone spur protruded from his hand. This inconspicuous bone spur exuded a strong aura of destruction and could almost annihilate everything. Kill the ashes together, Beach. Heizetsu can no longer be arrogant. This is the move of his mother Kagaya, and of course he knows it. In the battle 1,000 years ago, after his mother used this move, even Hage Oromo and Hamura had to dodge in embarrassment. For fear of being touched. Even those who have mastered the power of the six paths, if touched by the ashes of a common killer, will be seriously injured, or even be decomposed on the spot. This move looks a bit like the corpse veins of the Kumogakure Kagaya clan. Uchiha Madara took half a step back and looked at the bone spur in Hyuga Naraku's hand. His intuition told him that he must not touch that bone spur. If the chakra in the previous seeking jade has been condensed to a terrifying level, then, the chakra in this bone spur is 10 times more terrifying. If he touches it, he will probably die instantly. The Kagaya clan is also the descendant of Kagaya Etsutsuki. Perhaps like us Hinata, they are the descendants of Hamura Etsutsuki. It's just that the trick of killing the ash bones together is too powerful, hurting others and hurting yourself, so the Kagaya clan has serious blood inheritance diseases. Maybe the reason is because they can't withstand the overly powerful blood inheritance ability. Hyuga Naraku said slowly. That, we can actually talk about it. Black Zetsu was obviously panicked, and said without hesitation, don't you want to know why my mother launched the infinite Tsukuyomi back then? In fact, we are not enemies, and we should join forces. Laugh. As Black Zetsu was talking, he saw Hinatan Naraku dropping the bone spurs and nailing them to his body. Click, click. Black Zetsu, who was originally unharmed no matter how much Uchiha Madara attacked, quickly turned grey and cracked. You. Heiju only had time to say the last word before his voice completely disappeared, completely corroded by the ashes of the common killer. Black Zetsu, who had been lurking in the ninja world for thousands of years and organized countless conspiracies, ended here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 253. There's still quite a bit of chakra, so it's barely a good snack. Hyuga Naraku absorbed the decomposed Black Zetsu's chakra and commented as if he was appraising a dish. Uchiha Madara on the side suddenly fell into a trance. Is Black Zetsu over like this? Although he hated Black Zetsu so much that his teeth itched with hatred, but a creature of the legendary goddess Uno, Black Zetsu was helpless no matter how he attacked. He was killed so easily. Looking at it this way, Hinata Nariku's strength at the moment is probably too much beyond him, right? If Hyuga Nariku wanted to kill him, I'm afraid it wouldn't take much effort. Maybe just like dealing with Black Zetsu, he only needed one bone spur and he would be completely unable to resist. Hinata Nariku glanced at Uchiha Madara, as if he saw what the other party was thinking and said. I don't have any reason to kill you, but I wonder if you still have the idea of continuing to stay in the current ninja world. Uchiha Madara was silent for a moment and shook his head. This ninja world is no longer the one I was familiar with. Hashirama has been gone for decades. The only one who can fight with him is Hyuga Nariku. However, it is very embarrassing, the other people in the ninja world are far behind him in strength, and he has no interest in teaching children a lesson, and the relationship between him and Hinata Nariku, the gap is too big. If we fight again, it might not be much different from an adult teaching a child. There are other strong people in the ninja world. Hinata Nariku attracted Uchiha Madara's attention with one sentence. I used the Eye of the Moon to scan the ninja world before, and found that there is also a strong man at the level of the Samsara Eye in the ninja world. He and Kaguya belong to the Otsutsuki clan. But don't worry, his strength at the moment is not as good as Kaguya in his prime. As for the strength between you and him, I don't know. Uchiha Madara immediately became interested. Is he a member of Kaguya's tribe? Where is he? There are actually hidden strong men in the ninja world. If you don't visit, is it still Uchiha Madara? Hyuga Nariku shook his head and said he was disturbed by me before and hid in a different space. You can try to develop the spatial ability of your Samsara Eye to find the different space where the opponent is hiding. It stands to reason that the reincarnation Eye can develop the ability to travel through space. However, it requires a large amount of chakra, and if you are not familiar with the different space you are going to, you don't know where you will travel to. This is why Hinata Nariku does not the reason why I am willing to waste my time looking for Otsutsuki Ishiki. Does he still need to do this kind of work himself? It's better to let Madara Uchiha find it slowly. Friendly reminder, don't underestimate the enemy too much. Although his condition should not be very good, he is not easy to deal with. Hinata Nariku reminded. You don't have to worry about that. Uchiha Madara snorted softly. Since that guy was so disturbed by Hyuga Nariku that he hid, it means that the other party thinks that he is not Hyuga Nariku's opponent. In this case, Uchiha Madara knows it in his heart. He can't beat Hinata. Nariku, can't you beat a hiding guy? Then I wish you success. Hyuga Nariku shook his head. If Madara Uchiha underestimated his enemy and was beaten violently, he would have deserved it. He had said everything anyway. So, next, it's time to deal with Obito. After escaping from my hands so many times, it's time to end it. The chakra in Hyuga Nariku's eyes bloomed, and the power of space exploded, searching for the traces of the divine space. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 254. In the strange divine power space. Obito sat next to Nohara Rin's ice coffin with a calm expression. Before, he had no choice but to use Nohara Rin's corpse to perform the earth reincarnation, and extract the remaining three-tailed chakra from Lin's body. Afterwards, the dirty soil reincarnation was lifted, and Lin's body naturally recovered. However, it's all meaningless. All the efforts he put into the Eye of the Moon plan were in vain due to the disruption of that bastard Hyuga Nariku. Even the resurrected Uchiha Madara, who had the power of the Rinnegan and the power of the Ten Tails, was still suppressed by Hinata Nariku and beat 003. He didn't even dare to watch the battle that was so devastating that he could only use the divine power Eye technique to stay away from it. But he could also see how badly Uchiha Madara was crushed. The Eye of the Moon plan is now completely impossible to implement. There was a wave of water ripples in the illusory space. A space door opened, and some force tore the space apart, reaching directly into the divine power space. You came. Obito looked blank, looking at Hyuga Nariku and Uchiha Madara, who suddenly broke into his Kamui space. One after another. It seems that the battle is over. Uchiha Madara didn't seem to be killed. For Hinatan Nariku to break into Obito is not too surprised about his divine power space. After all, he has seen the world-destroying scene before. Now, it is just a matter of tearing open the space and breaking into his unique divine power space. That's it, it doesn't seem to be difficult to do. Moreover, at this point, Obito has no intention of resisting or running away. Not to mention whether he can escape. Even if he escapes, so what? There is still value in continuing to survive. Tisk, your current reaction makes me a little disappointed, Obito. Hyuga Nariku looked at Obito's dead fish expression and complained. Obito now looked completely resigned to his fate. Unlike before, no matter how many times he killed him, he could still dance happily, just like a normal person. It's as if he wasn't the one who used Izanagi so many times. What do you want to see? Obito asked back, with a mocking expression on his face. Do you want to see me struggling crazily to escape, or begging you for mercy and trying to survive? Although he failed, it was only a matter of strength. If he had stronger strength, not to mention being on par with Hyuga Nariku, even if he was only capable of fighting, he would persist in struggling and implement the Eye of the Moon plan to the end. Yeah, Hyuga Nariku suddenly smiled playfully. In that case, you shouldn't mind if I tell you an interesting secret. It's related to your favorite no-Hara-rin. Obito originally planned not to believe whatever Hyuga Nariku said when he heard it, but when he heard it later, he couldn't hold it in anymore. What nonsense are you going to say? What's wrong with Lin? Wasn't she hurt enough by you? Obito cursed loudly. Ha! Hinatan Nariku chuckled, not blaming Obito for thinking that he had harmed Lin, and said to himself. Obito, you have controlled Kirigakure village for so long, haven't you investigated the matter of no-Hara-rin's kidnapping by Kirigakure? Speaking of this, Uchiha Madara's face suddenly changed. Obito looked suspicious. He didn't want to pay attention to Hinatan Nariku at first, but now he couldn't help but said. I checked, and all the relevant information disappeared before I took control of that Yaguragai. What do you mean by this? Lin was kidnapped by Kirigakure and implanted with 3 tails. Is there any explanation behind it? Aren't you curious why no-Hara Lin, an ordinary medical ninja, was chosen as the container for the 3 tails? Why has all the relevant information disappeared? Why was it that during such a period of time from no-Hara-rin's kidnapping, to her being sent back to Konoha by the Kirigakure Umbu plan, to her death under Kakashi's Reikari, your teacher Namikaze Minato was not around? Aren't you curious, does your teacher, who is a quick ninja master, have too many tasks on his shoulders, or is someone deliberately creating various situations to attract him to go elsewhere? Hyuga Nariku said slowly, the smile on his face could not be suppressed at all. Obito's expression suddenly changed 0.4. A large number of memories were connected together. That day, Uchiha Madara was not around, and Baizetsu suddenly came over and said that Lin was trapped in, he was in danger, and helped him rush to the battlefield. But when he arrived at the battlefield, he happened to see Lin being cut through the chest by lightning. Why were these coincidences, really a coincidence, or should I say, behind the scenes? Someone planned. What was the purpose of this person who planned it? The result of him seeing Lin's death was, opening the Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Madara. Obito's voice was like a ghost, and he read the name sternly, his eyes were blood red.